I notice it the moment I step through my parents' front door. Something's off. The air feels charged, like the stillness before a thunderstorm. Mom's smile stretches too wide as she takes my coat. Dad's handshake is a touch too firm. My sister Autumn practically vibrates with excitement, her eyes darting between our parents with that conspiratorial gleam I've known since childhood. I've learned to trust my professional instincts over the years. Earlier this week, Dad's unusually probing questions about my clinic's quarterly profits had set off a silent alarm in my mind. "Sierra, honey, so glad you made it." Mom guides me toward the dining room where Sunday dinner awaits, her hand pressing against my back with unusual insistence. The table looks perfect, of course. Mom's best Lenox bone china, the crystal glasses that only appear for special occasions, and a centerpiece of white hydrangeas and silver dollar eucalyptus. Whatever this is, they've planned it carefully. I take my usual seat across from Autumn, whose smile is no longer the mischievous grin of a child with a whoopee cushion. Instead, she looks at me with a soft, curated sympathy that makes my skin crawl. Dad carves the herb-crusted prime rib with practiced precision while Mom distributes garlic chive smashed Yukon Golds, charred broccolini, and those sourdough brioche rolls I've loved since childhood. That's when I spotted a manila folder tucked beside Dad's plate, its corner peeking out from under his napkin. My stomach tightens. "How's the clinic?" Mom asks, her voice artificially bright. "Still working those crazy hours?" "Business is good." I keep my answer simple, watching Dad's eyes flicker toward the folder. "We've increased our patient load by 20% this quarter." Autumn reaches across the table, squeezing my hand with a warmth that feels almost real. Sigh, "You look exhausted. All those clinical hours are draining the life out of you. You've built this amazing thing, but it's so technical. It needs a soul. Someone needs to handle the noise so you can just breathe again." The pieces click together in my mind, a puzzle I wish I couldn't solve. Dad clears his throat, setting down his fork with a deliberate clink against the fine porcelain. "Sierra, we've been thinking about the future of your clinic." I freeze mid-bite, the food turning to sawdust in my mouth. Mom jumps in smoothly, as if they've rehearsed this. "Family businesses need family management, dear. Your father and I have been discussing how to keep healing hands in the family long-term." "It's not a family business," I say carefully. "I built it myself." "With our support," Dad counters, reaching for the folder. "And now Autumn has an excellent proposal that will benefit everyone." My sister straightens in her chair, preening with a helpful air. "I've worked up a business plan to become your practice manager. I'd handle all the boring paperwork while you focus on patients. I'm only asking for a 25% profit share, which is truly reasonable considering the rhythm and vibrancy I'll bring to that quiet office." My heartbeat pounds in my ears. This isn't a casual Sunday dinner, it's an ambush wrapped in sisterly concern. Memories flood back unbidden. Double shifts at the hospital cafeteria during physical therapy school, sending money home to help Autumn through her freshman year of college, while I ate ramen in a studio apartment with furniture rescued from curbsides. Midnight study sessions after 1 4-hour clinical rotations. The $187,000 LAR in student loans that still drain my checking account each month. "I already have a clinic manager," I say, surprised by the steadiness in my voice. Mom waves her hand dismissively. "But Autumn is the real people person. Autumn was the heart that made people actually want to stay. She's the one with the Bennett charm, Sierra." I remember, just like I remember Dad dismissing my academic honors at graduation, "Book smarts don't build practices, Sierra," while photographing Autumn in my cap and gown because she looked more the part. I remember Autumn's temporary help at the front desk last summer that resulted in unauthorized discounts to her friends. The weeks I spent apologizing to patients after her scheduling mix-ups left some waiting 3 hours, and others turned away entirely. "May I see what you've prepared?" I ask, nodding toward the folder. Dad slides it across the table with a satisfied smile. "It's already been drawn up by my attorney. It just needs your signature." "I can start tomorrow." Autumn claps her hands together. I already have ideas for redecorating your office to make it less clinical. I take a deliberate sip of water, the cool liquid doing nothing to ease the tightening in my chest. I set the glass down, centering it precisely on the coaster. Then, with slow, measured movements, I push back from the table. I'll be right back, I say, my voice flat and unreadable. I don't wait for a response. I walk out the back door, the evening air hitting me with a sharp, refreshing chill. My car sits in the driveway, a dark silhouette against the manicured lawn. I retrieve the portfolio from the passenger seat, the heavy, familiar weight of my professional life, and head back inside.
The dining room still smells of roasted garlic and seasoned butter, a scent that usually spells home. But as I step back into the light, the aroma feels cloying, almost suffocating. My appetite is gone, replaced by a cold, sharpening focus. I slide back into my seat, the work tote settled on my lap. I'd intended to bring a vintage Cabernet tonight, I say. My voice has taken on a rhythmic, boardroom calm. But as it turns out, I think I brought something else instead. My father's confident smile begins to fray at the edges. The room goes brittle as I reach into the bag and withdraw my leather portfolio. I let the light catch the grain of the hide, the supple, expensive saddleback leather I'd splurged on the moment the Denver sports medicine contract was finalized. It's more than just a folder. It's a silent, tactile reminder of every success I've carved out for myself without a single hand from them. I lay it on the table between us. The click of the brass clasp is the only sound in the room, sharp as a closing door. I signed a management services agreement with Colorado Healthcare Partners. I tap the top page where their corporate logo sprawls across the letterhead. They're managing all administrative aspects of Healing Hands going forward. Dad reaches for the papers, his brow furrowed. You can't make decisions like this without consulting family. Actually, I can. I slide another document toward him. I've highlighted section 4.3 for your convenience. No family members may be employed in management positions without unanimous board approval. The board consists of myself and 2 partners from CHP. Autumn's face flushes crimson. You did this on purpose. I made a business decision. I maintain eye contact with my sister, refusing to look away first, one based on previous experience. My partners and I have performed a deep dive audit of last summer's operations, and the findings were non-negotiable. Mom reaches across the table, her fingers stopping just short of touching mine. Sierra, honey, everyone makes mistakes when they're learning. These weren't learning mistakes. I stand slowly, finding unexpected power in towering over my seated family. These were careless choices made by someone who thought rules didn't apply to her. I have a responsibility to my staff and my patients to ensure that never happens again. The stunned silence feels like vindication. Their expressions shift from entitled certainty to uncomfortable shock. While I covered your healthcare needs, I was eating ramen noodles to make my student loan payments. I worked double shifts at the hospital cafeteria to help fund Autumn's freshman year, when you said you couldn't afford both our educations simultaneously. I lock eyes with my father. I slept on treatment tables when I couldn't afford both rent and malpractice insurance. My staff witnessed Autumn's summer of chaos, staying late to fix her mistakes while she posted social media photos from rooftop happy hours. They know the truth behind the Bennett family dynamics. My mentor warned me years ago that family and business mix like oil and water, I say, remembering Dr. Sterling's concerned expression when she caught me crying in the supply closet after my family missed my clinic's grand opening. I should have listened sooner. I gather my documents with deliberate precision, sliding them back into my portfolio, in the exact order they'll be needed if this conversation escalates further. The methodical movement calms me, just like when I organize treatment supplies before a difficult patient session. We can negotiate. Dad's voice has lost its authoritative edge, replaced by the tone he uses when a business deal starts slipping away, 20% instead of 25%. A trial period. I close my portfolio with a snap. My clinic isn't your piggy bank, it's my career. Mom's hand flies to her throat, a dramatic gesture she's perfected over years of family conflicts. I never thought you'd put business before family, she whispers. The statement hangs between us, revealing everything wrong with their perspective. In their minds, my success exists to benefit them. My clinic represents not my achievement, but their opportunity. I'm not putting business before family, I reply, my voice steadier than I feel inside. I'm putting boundaries before exploitation.
The slow rotation of the clock brings the quiet of the night, and as the moonlight filters through my apartment window, the shadows of the past return in sharp, painful focus. I think back to my 12th birthday. It fell on a Tuesday in April, unremarkable except for the math test I aced and the single card propped against my cereal bowl that morning. 2 weeks later, Autumn turned 10 and received a gleaming teal bicycle with streamers on the handlebars and a wicker basket. I watched from our front porch as she circled the driveway, our parents clapping with each wobbly lap. "Sierra, take a picture of your sister," Dad called, tossing me his camera. "This is a milestone!" I angled the viewfinder to capture Autumn's beaming face, her hair catching sunlight as Dad steadied the bike seat. Mom waved a handkerchief like she was sending off royalty. "Remember when I got my first bike?" I asked later, helping Mom with dishes, while birthday cake crumbs still dotted the kitchen table. She paused, sponge suspended. "You were a practical child, Sierra. You always wanted books instead." But I hadn't. I'd circled bikes in catalogs for 3 years running. High school graduation brought academic honors, valedictorian, science medal, a full academic scholarship. The auditorium buzzed with proud parents clutching bouquets and cameras. Mine arrived 7 minutes after my speech, slipping into back row seats as I returned to mine. Traffic was terrible. Mom whispered when they found me afterward, empty-handed. "But we're here for Autumn's dance recital tonight. You're coming, right?" The pattern repeated through college. My dean's list certificates arrived by mail at our family home, while I worked double shifts at the hospital cafeteria. The envelopes remained sealed on the kitchen counter for weeks. 4 years after graduation, I was hunched over my laptop at midnight, the clinic dark except for the glow from my office. Loan statements glared from the screen. $187,000 remaining, a monthly bill that made my actual rent look like an afterthought. Meanwhile, I just sent $1,200 to Autumn for her latest temporary housing crisis, her 4th job change in 2 years. My own apartment remained furnished with roadside rescues, a coffee table with uneven legs, a sofa that smelled faintly of previous owners no matter how much I cleaned it. The sound of my stomach growling echoed in the empty clinic. The bank manager's voice still rang in my ears from that morning's appointment. "Without a cosigner or additional collateral, Miss Bennett, we simply can't approve this business expansion loan." I'd nodded, politely, tucking the rejection letter beside the others in my bag, not mentioning that my parents had refused to co-sign, but had purchased Autumn a new car the previous month because she needs reliable transportation for interviews. The treatment table became my bed that night. I curled onto the paper-covered vinyl, wrapping myself in a patient blanket after 16 hours of back-to-back appointments, followed by insurance paperwork. The cleaning crew found me there at 5 a.m., still clutching spreadsheets. 6 months later, when Healing Hands Physical Therapy finally opened in its own space, no longer just a sublet room my parents stopped by for a fleeting 15 minutes, sandwiched between Autumn's local studio photo shoot and their dinner reservation. "It's nice," Mom said, glancing at her watch. "Like a real clinic." Dad peered at my framed credentials. "Just remember, it's always about the people, not the degrees. Autumn could really help you give this place some life." They left before the small reception began, missing the champagne toast from my 3-person staff and the ribbon-cutting photo for the local business journal. The summer Autumn decided to help out at the front desk became a professional nightmare. Her friends received unauthorized discounts while regular patients found their appointments rescheduled or canceled entirely. Insurance forms piled up unprocessed until late-night hours when I discovered them stuffed into desk drawers. They were so boring. Autumn explained when confronted, flashing that vulnerable look that usually worked. "Besides, they're just old people with Medicare. They don't have anywhere important to be." I was just trying to bring some joy to the waiting room. After she left, I spent weeks making personal calls to every affected patient, rebuilding trust one apology at a time. The turning point came unexpectedly during a meeting with a regional provider representative. The stern-faced woman across my desk had rejected our previous 3 claims submissions. "Miss Bennett, Your documentation simply doesn't meet our standards for... I slide a folder across the desk, interrupting her practiced rejection. These are revised protocols I developed specifically addressing your guidelines. I've cross-referenced each treatment code with your latest manual. Her eyebrows rose as she flipped through meticulously annotated pages. You did this yourself? Every night for 3 weeks. Her assessment was blunt. Most providers just argue or give up. 3 days later, the insurance company approved our entire claims backlog. Within months, physician referrals increased as word spread about our exceptional documentation and outcomes. The first profitable month arrived after 2 grueling years. I stared at the accounting software late one night, verifying the numbers 3 times before allowing myself to believe them. No one was there to celebrate with me, but for once, the silence felt like power rather than abandonment. I realized something profound as I lock up that night. My invisibility has become my superpower. While my family focused on Autumn's charm, I built something substantial in the shadows. The skills I developed through years of self-reliance, persistence, precision, strategic thinking now serve as the foundation for my growing business. Carol, my clinic manager, proved this theory when she declined a hospital position offering significantly more money to stay with Healing Hands. She told me, I've worked in healthcare for 30 years, Sierra. What you're building here is special. When Autumn's scheduling disasters created chaos, my staff stayed late without complaint, ordering pizza and tackling the backlog together. We've got this. Thatcher, my lead therapist, assured me as midnight approached. Your sisters, interesting, but we're a team. Every Friday morning, our staff meeting begins with each person sharing both challenges and victories. Every voice matters. The cleaning staff included, a stark contrast to family gatherings where my input was routinely dismissed or interrupted. The call from the medical director comes on an ordinary Tuesday afternoon. We've been watching your outcomes data, she says without preamble. Our orthopedic department wants to discuss a specialized treatment partnership. That evening, we gather in the clinic after hours, not for emergency rescheduling but for celebration. 9 people now instead of the original 3, toasting with plastic cups and grocery store cake. To Sierra, Carol calls out, who saw possibilities while everyone else saw limitations. In the quiet after everyone leaves, I gently lift my first business license from its frame, tracing the embossed seal with my fingertips. Tomorrow, I'll rehang it in the expanded reception area, a reminder that being overlooked sometimes allows you to build foundations no one expects to stand.
By the time the autumn leaves begin to swirl against my office window, the clinic has taken on a new life of its own. My corner office offers a panoramic view of Denver's skyline, though I've positioned my desk to face the treatment floor instead. Through the glass wall, I watch Meredith guide a patient through post-stroke exercises. Meredith's patience mirrors what I strive for with every patient, something my family never understood about healing. The contrast between my modest office and our state-of-the-art treatment areas isn't accidental. While patients deserve cutting-edge equipment, I've learned to function perfectly well with a second-hand desk and simple chair. Every dollar saved is reinvested where it counts. I straighten the original Healing Hands therapy sign mounted on my wall, salvaged when we expanded last month. From 3 treatment rooms to 15. From me alone to a team of 15 therapists who share my vision of patient-first care. My phone vibrates for the 3rd time today. Mom again. I silence it without looking at the message. It will be like yesterday's. Just checking in, honey, with a thinly veiled question about clinic operations or subtle mention of Autumn's latest unemployment crisis. The calls increased after I refused their dinner invitations for 6 consecutive weeks. Mom cycles between guilt, we never see you anymore, and false business interest. Dad attempted to contact my accountant directly last week, thankfully warned by my advance call explaining the situation. Their most desperate move came yesterday when Autumn appeared unannounced during our busiest afternoon, waving a folder of marketing ideas that required her full-time employment. Vance, my front desk manager, followed protocol exactly, offered her a seat in the waiting room, and called me immediately. I didn't interrupt my patient's session. The afternoon sun warms my face as I open my laptop, reading the email I've drafted, deleted, and rewritten 14 times. It's measured, precise, and absolutely necessary. To my family. As I have already told you, after careful consideration, I'm establishing professional boundaries regarding Healing Hands therapy. The clinic remains closed to family employment or management input. All treatment services will be billed at standard rates. Business discussions are limited to my management team. I remain open to rebuilding our personal relationship separate from my professional life. Sierra. My finger hovers over send as my office door opens. Carol appears with 2 steaming mugs. Thought you might need reinforcements, she says, placing a coffee beside my laptop. I saw the social media post. I raise an eyebrow. Carol slides her phone across my desk. There's my mother's profile, featuring a photo from my clinic's opening day. It's a repost of an old photo from my own feed, one she wasn't even in. So proud of my daughter Sierra's vision with Healing Hands therapy. We've always believed in her healing touch. Proud mama. Family business. The timestamp shows it was posted 20 minutes ago. The hashtag is interesting, Carol says carefully. Family business, the words taste bitter. I click send on my email. They've never paid $1 toward this clinic, never worked an hour here, never believed it would succeed until it did. Community's noticing the disconnect, Carol says. Dr. Reynolds mentioned it last week when he referred that complex shoulder case. I look up, surprised. Said he always sends patients here because you built something genuine, not handed down or gifted. Carol taps my original business license frame. Said he appreciates how you acknowledge your team, instead of bragging about your background. Which reminds me. I say, pulling up another email. The scholarship fund is approved. Starting next semester, we'll support 2 physical therapy students with demonstrated financial need. Carol smiles. Your mother called that wasteful charity when she overheard us discussing it. Exactly why it matters. I stand, stretching tired muscles. Any news from the accountant about their latest inquiry? Your father tried charm, then intimidation. Eventually left when Denise mentioned potential harassment charges. Carol's expression softens. There's something else. She pulls a handwritten note from her pocket. Your mother stopped by during lunch. When I explained you were at the Children's Hospital Clinic, she left this. The envelope bears my name in Mom's perfect cursive. Inside, tear-stained paper, contains desperate pleas about family misunderstandings and missing my daughter. The final line requests a family meeting to heal old wounds at their house. Naturally, on their terms. My phone chimes with a text from Autumn. Miss you, big sis. Can we talk? Just us? I promise I just want to help. Carol watches me process these latest maneuvers. Your father's letter arrived in yesterday's mail too, very formal, suggesting family mediation with his attorney present. I laugh without humor. The tables have turned, their friends are asking questions. Community members are noticing discrepancies between their claims and reality, animality. Through the window, I watch 2 therapists I hired from disadvantaged backgrounds guiding patients with the skill and compassion I'd fostered in our clinic culture. The afternoon sun illuminates our expanded treatment floor. What will you tell them? Carol asks. I place the note in my desk drawer, joining other manipulative family communications I've documented meticulously. When they're ready for a relationship that doesn't involve exploiting my success, I say, I'll listen. Until then, my priority is protecting what I've built. In the waiting room beyond my office, I notice a familiar face, one of Autumn's friends, who received unauthorized discounts last year. Today, she waits patiently, insurance card in hand, respect in her expression where entitlement once lived. The facade is crumbling. 2 weeks later, the morning air carries the scent of fresh coffee and possibility as I arrive at Cornerstone Cafe 20 minutes early. My chosen battlefield-neutral territory, with just enough ambient noise for privacy without isolation. I select a corner table with clear sightlines to both entrances and settle into the chair facing the door. Old habits from years of watching for their approval. I arrange my leather portfolio precisely in front of me, its weight reassuring. Inside rests every text, email, and financial record, documenting our entangled history. Can I get you something while you wait? The barista approaches with a genuine smile. Notepad ready. Just black coffee, thank you. My voice sounds steadier than I feel. The ceramic mug arrives moments later, steam rising like the tension in my chest. Through the window, I spot them walking from the parking lot. Dad's shoulders square beneath his golf polo, Mom fidgeting with her pearl necklace, Autumn's confident stride betrayed by her nervous glances at our parents. The bell above the door chimes as they enter. The moment they spot me, their expressions shift subtly. Dad's jaw tightens, Mom's smile freezes. Autumn's eyes narrow at the portfolio before me. Sierra, honey. Mom reaches to hug me, but I remain seated, forcing her to awkwardly pat my shoulder instead. This is cozy. We would have preferred dinner at home, Dad says, settling into the chair opposite mine. Family matters should be discussed privately. This isn't just a family matter. I tap my finger on the portfolio. This concerns my business. Autumn slides into the chair beside Dad, her perfume overwhelming the coffee aroma. She looks at me with wide, pleading eyes. Sigh, I brought a box of artisanal donuts. Look, I'm trying here. I realized I came on too strong. I just want us to be a team again. A waitress appears, takes their order, and disappears with practiced efficiency. The moment she's gone, Dad leans forward, hands clasped on the table. Blood is thicker than water, Sierra. His voice drops to that authoritative tone he used when I missed curfew at 17. Family stands together, especially in business. Mom reaches across to squeeze my wrist. We've always been proud of you, sweetie. Always. Your father and I tell everyone about our brilliant daughter, the doctor of physical therapy. Autumn adds with surprising accuracy before launching into her rehearsed speech. Speaking of which, I've been thinking about our last conversation. I've drafted a new proposal. A consulting arrangement. 3 days a week. I can handle the social media and corporate outreach while you stay in the back with the patients. It's what I'm good at, see? Let me help you shine. I take a deliberate sip of coffee, letting the bitter warmth fortify me. Before we discuss any proposals, there's something you should know. My new management partners at Colorado Healthcare Partners have a strict, no-conflict policy regarding personnel. The mention of my partners causes all three to stiffen. They've been reviewing our books, I continue, opening the portfolio to show a neatly organized spreadsheet. And they've flagged some significant outstanding liabilities. In order for the board to even entertain a discussion about a new hire, especially one with a history of administrative errors, the clinic's balance sheet must be cleared of all personal debt. It's a prerequisite of our insurance bond. Dad's face flushes. What are you talking about? This is an itemized list of the free treatments and personal loans I've provided to this family over 4 years. Market value, $42,735 for treatments. $16,450 in personal loans to Autumn that were never repaid, totaling $59,185. Dad stares at the number as if it's a foreign language. We don't have $59,185 just sitting around, Sierra, and we shouldn't have to pay for family care. I expected that, I say, my tone as cold and professional as the marble tabletop. And that is exactly why the conversation about Autumn joining the staff is over. My board will not approve the hiring of an individual who owes the company nearly $60,000. It's a basic matter of financial ethics. The debt is a permanent barrier to her employment. The silence stretches between us, punctuated only by the hiss of the espresso machine. I've used their own greed and their own family business logic against them. You've been watching us. Autumn's voice carries a note of betrayal. I've been paying attention. I meet her gaze steadily. I also have screenshots of the Facebook posts mentioning our clinic. My partners were very concerned about potential trademark infringement and unauthorized claims of ownership. Mom's face pales. Sierra, it's just expressions of pride. Is it? I withdraw another document. This is Dr. Reynolds' email asking why Dad contacted him about partnership opportunities for the clinic. Dad's businessman mask slips. You can't possibly expect us to pay that back after all you've what? I cut him off, voice level but firm. After you missed my doctoral hooding ceremony? After you told Dr. Wilson I was playing at businesses until I found a husband? After you dismissed my clinic opening as just another job? I place my palms flat on the table, steadying myself. These are my terms for any future relationship. First, my business decisions are mine alone. No input, no suggestions. Second, any treatments for family will be billed at standard rates. Third, no more describing yourselves as partners or owners. Mom's artificial composure crumbles, tears welling in her eyes. You can't mean this, she whispers. We're family. Family respects boundaries, I answer. Family celebrates achievements, instead of trying to claim them. Dad's face darkens with frustration. This is absurd. We never thought you'd actually succeed on your own. We were trying to help secure your future by giving you Autumn's personality to lean on. The truth slips out so easily. They never believed in me. Autumn's carefully constructed mask falls completely. It's not fair. She hisses. You get everything. The respect, the title, the business. What about me? I'm stuck in a cubicle while you play hero in your precious clinic. There it is, the raw envy beneath the manipulation. I close my portfolio with a decisive snap and stand. I built everything I have while supporting this family emotionally and financially. I'm not playing at anything, and I'm done being invisible. I leave exact change for my coffee on the table and walk away. Behind me, I hear Mom's quiet sobs, Dad's harsh whisper to Autumn, the scraping of chairs, but I don't look back. For the first time in my life, I'm moving forward without checking if they approve. The slow rotation of the seasons has brought me to this afternoon, where a full year later, the light paints golden highlights across the Denver skyline outside my window. The view before me mirrors the transformation within. Dr. Bennett, your 3 o'clock is ready. Melissa, my lead therapist, appears at my side, clipboard in hand. It's Mrs. Abernathy's final session. I smile, genuine warmth spreading through my chest. The waiting room bustles with activity, a stark contrast to the cramped space where I began. Now, patients sit in comfortable chairs beneath framed community service awards that have joined my original business license on the wall. The waiting list for new patients stretches 2 months out, a testament to the reputation we've built. Mrs. Abernathy, an elderly woman with bright eyes and a spine curved from decades of hard work, beams as I enter the treatment room. There she is. She announces to no one in particular, the miracle worker herself. I laugh, setting her chart aside. The miracle was your dedication to the home exercises. Nonsense. She waves a weathered hand. My grandson says you're the best in Denver, and that boy researches everything. As I guide Mrs. Abernathy through her final stretches, I catch my reflection in the treatment room mirror. The tight shoulders and defensive posture that once characterized my stance have softened. I stand taller now, grounded in my worth. Later, I welcome 3 new graduates to my mentorship program. They gather around the conference table, eyes bright, with the same determination that once fueled my midnight study sessions. The most important thing I can teach you isn't a technique. I tell them, perching on the edge of the table, it's knowing your value. In this profession, you'll give constantly. Make sure what you're giving is respected. After they leave, I review the latest figures for our pro bono program serving underserved patients. The initiative now comprises 15% of our practice, a percentage that would have terrified me last year but now fills me with purpose. My phone buzzes with a text from Leah, my closest friend and leader of our professional women's support group. Ready for tonight? Your turn to share. A flutter of nervousness dances through my stomach. Tonight marks the first time I'll publicly share my full journey, family struggles included. The thought both terrifies and liberates me. Before leaving, I check my personal email. Mom has sent photos of her volunteer work at the community garden, her 3rd message this week that doesn't demand anything from me. Small steps, but genuine ones. Dad's name remains absent from the sender list. Some wounds need more time than others. A separate email contains a job announcement from Autumn, her first position at a corporate office with no connection to my clinic. The message lacks her usual excessive exclamation points, a subtle sign of her growing independence. The evening sun casts long shadows as I arrive at Leah's home for our monthly dinner. We pass dishes family style, their laughter a healing balm. To Sierra, Melissa raises her glass. Who taught us all that standing your ground isn't selfish, it's necessary. As applause ripples around the table, I think of the scholarship I've established for students from challenging backgrounds, the boundary-setting workshop I'll lead next month, and tomorrow's launch of our specialized vestibular rehabilitation program. When dinner concludes, I step onto Leah's back porch. The mountains rise majestically against the horizon, steadfast and immovable, much like the boundaries I've learned to maintain. You look peaceful, Leah says, joining me. I am. I breathe deeply. I finally understand that I can heal my patients without sacrificing myself in the process. Tomorrow, I'll treat an elderly man with the same care I once lavished on family members who took without gratitude. The difference is, he'll look me in the eye and say thank you and I'll know I've been seen. I'm Sierra Bennett. I whisper to the mountains, and I heal people who value the healing.